2 more years. Well, that is at least the sentiment of the more than 600 delegates to the Idaho GOP convention this past weekend who believe the party has been well led this past 2 years under Chair Dorothy Moon and reelected her to that same position. Nearly 150 votes separated Chair Moon from her challenger, Mary Souza, to run the state Republican Party into 2026. In fact, the election of the entire leadership team tended to lean toward the righter side of the spectrum, where some say they should be. But that's not all that was decided this weekend in Coeur d'Alene. The party also approved resolutions and changes to its platform. So let's start with the resolutions, which is a wish list of things that party members, at least those in attendance, stand behind or hope to forward for the near future. For example, along with the unequivocal support for Israel, protecting our electric grid, and wanting only citizens to vote in our elections on Election Day, and in person, by the way, members of the state GOP are directing the chair of the party to get a lawyer and sue the Secretary of State, Phil McGrain, for not enforcing their private club rules regarding party affiliation with regard to the closed primary elections. It's something they asked the secretary to do last year, but they were denied by Secretary McGrain, who made it clear his office and county clerk's office across the state, their duty only applies to state laws, not party rules. They're not under his jurisdiction, so he can't enforce those. So we'll see if they can obtain counsel and file a lawsuit for that. As for the party platform, it's also worth noting this is just a list of priorities for the party, not really binding law or anything. But according to the newly adopted forward of that party platform, well, it's how Republicans, elected officials, will be judged, measured, and held accountable for the next 2 years. A forward, by the way, penned by Brandon Durst, whose titles include former Democratic state representative and senator, failed superintendent of West Bonner County School District, and failed candidate for Boise School District trustee, state superintendent, and most recently, Ada County commissioner. The platform committee, consisting of 43 of the 51 GOP delegates, made 11 changes to the party platform since the last one was adopted in 2022. Most didn't shake a lot of earth, but they did lay down a few new planks. For example, they oppose ranked choice voting in any form. They oppose deploying the Idaho Army and National Guard for active combat operations outside the United States without Congress declaring war. So those things they oppose. However, they're in favor of using the Idaho National Guard to secure the nation's border due to the federal government's, quote, dereliction of duty. And they also want the right of the state to remove any and all people unlawfully present within Idaho's borders. Two other things stood out from the weekend when it comes to the platform. Defining human personhood, they oppose abortion of any kind, but they added actions which intentionally end an innocent human life, including destruction of human embryos. In the process of in vitro fertilization, sometimes extra embryos are frozen for future use, but those unused frozen embryos can sometimes be destroyed after, a set amount of time. Well, a bill to stop that would certainly impact infertility clinics in the state, and that's possible. The other would add language to the GOP education and economy planks, saying, while we strongly support vo-tech education, Idaho Republicans will no longer support taxpayer funding for educational programs beyond high school. So that would put Governor Brad Little's successful Idaho Launch program in the crosshairs, right? The one that offers up to $8,000 in grants toward tuition and fees, and the one with nearly 13,000 applicants this past filing period, which ended about a couple months ago. So the big question is, the vague wording of that amended plank, does that mean the end for funding for higher education in general? If a lawmaker votes to support Idaho Launch next session, or even a budget request from Boise State or the U of I, could they be found in violation of the platform and brought forth before a tribunal to answer for their crimes against the party? What this does give us a glimpse into is, well, what bills we can expect to see next legislative session. Who decides to follow it, that'll be another matter.